Please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes, moved by Fleming, supported by Bowman. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Now we need approval of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda? Corrections, what have you? Okay, moved by Bowman, supported by Berman. Sorry. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Anybody from the public who would like to make public comment? Seeing no one, we will go on with our one regular agenda item. If you would, please, Carrie and Kathy, and whoever else wants to join us. And I will tell you this, we're going to let you off the hook, because at 2:45, we are out the door, okay? I have library board, and I cannot miss it. You got lucky today. So, oh, my gosh, we got the whole kit and caboodle. This is lovely. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, fix your chairs up. Your microphones have buttons on them. If the green button is on, please kind of talk into them. We tried hard to do better, but they're still not perfect. Okay, so Kathy, who wants to start? Kathy. Okay, introduce yourself as you get started.
I think you all know me, but my name is Kathy Williams, and I am supervisor of the Housing Counseling and Homeless Service Unit of the Community and Home Improvement Division. And I want to introduce my awesome team, my other counselors, Melissa Felice and Steve O'Donnell. Okay, and we're just going to give you a brief overview of everything we do. I know you hear bits and pieces here and there. Right, introduce Irene.
I'm just here for moral support. I didn't
Okay,
we've done it once or twice.
We have.
You know I like to talk, Shelley, but I will try to keep it. No, keep it down. Okay, so we're just going to kind of give you an overview of what our unit does so that you're aware, because you hear bits and pieces all over the place, but really this is kind of an overall arching vision of what we do. All right, so this is kind of our mission statement. I know our division and our department has other missions, but housing counseling has its own mission. We believe that housing counseling provides all the information, education, and referral that housing consumers need to make an informed decision about what they want to do. So, you know, our job is to explain and help them navigate the system so that they can decide what's best for them, because rental isn't for everybody, home ownership isn't for everybody. What can you afford? Because the banks always say you can afford more than you truly can. What's my credit? How does that work? How do I even start? That's our jobs. We teach, we refer, and then they can make a decision and we'll help them guide along the way. So, again, I wanted to let you meet Steve and Melissa. Melissa's been with the county for like 15 years.
17, but
17
close enough.
years. She's been with our division about 10, but she's been in housing counseling since 2015. Steve has been here since December of 2016. Great addition, but he's had housing counseling experience with other organizations in the past. Our unit has fluctuated from one person, and before me, other people, to a high of 7 at the height of the mortgage foreclosure. It ebbs and flows with whatever funding is available and what's happening in the marketplace. The housing counseling has actually been around in Oakland County for almost 40 years. Housing counseling, HUD-approved housing counseling agencies are about to celebrate their 50th anniversary right after the Fair Housing Act was passed. They came up with it. And just so you know, Oakland County is is the first in Michigan and one of the first in the United States to form a housing counseling unit. It was originally over at the executive office, but they moved it to community and home improvement in the early 90s. And we've lived there ever since. All of housing counselors are HUD certified. So what the heck does HUD certified mean? The Wall Street Reform Act, remember that Frank Act? Buried way deep down, like 900 pages, 932 or something, there was a little clause that said anybody who talks to anybody about federal housing programs, Veterans Administration, HUD, anybody who has to do that has to be exam certified, nationally certified. and you have to pass a test on 6 different concepts, even if you don't counsel on it. Foreclosure, fair housing, home ownership, affordability, rental. So it took a little while to get the final rule out. The final rule came out in December of 2016. And it said basically, if you don't pass this national test by 2020, you can't do your job anywhere in the United States of America. So anybody who works for the state governments, any housing counselor organizations, there's about 4,000 of us nationwide have to pass a test. And the test came out in last August 1st, 2017. And I am happy to say we are the first in Michigan and one of the first in the country that all 3 of us passed the test first try. So we are all really kudos for our organization. And also we're all Michigan certified. What does that mean? We had to take a test, take a class, and be able to counsel for the state of Michigan. Something similar, though the test wasn't as hard, trust me. Okay, we're also all NCHEC certified, and NCHEC is the NeighborWorks, which is a quasi-HUD educational thing. NeighborWorks Center for Home Ownership Education Counseling in all the components. So you have to take a 5-day class, you got to pass a test, you got to take 10 hours of continuing education every year. So all 3 of us have foreclosure intervention certification. We all have financial management. Melissa and I have home ownership, and Steve's going the first week of May to get that. I've got program management. Steve and I have reverse mortgage counseling. So and you take the test, you take the education. So you can be assured that Oakland County residents have knowledgeable people. We're not just making stuff up. We have knowledge, we have experience to guide them through whatever issues they may have. So we're both a HUD local housing counseling agency and a Michigan Housing Counseling Agency. So we're certified by both the state and the federal government to provide the services that we do. So what do? These are just kind of broad aspects of what we do. We provide rental counseling. Rental counseling, it can be a broad variety. The majority of our counseling, probably close to 1,000 people a year, call us up and say, my landlord won't give me my security deposit back. My landlord won't make me repairs, things like that. So we have a Michigan tenant landlord guide, tell them what they need to do, send them the guide, show them what they can do. I've got to find an apartment. I don't know how to begin. I am only on disability. What's Section 8? Those type of things. We have a list of affordable housing units in Oakland County, MichiganHousingLocator.com. We help them do that. We have people who come in and say, what can I afford? We do budgets, we do action plans, we kind of walk them through the system, we review leases. We're not attorneys, so if there is a legal problem, we refer them to legal aid, but we help them through that system. Financial management, credit, budget. Do you know what's on your credit report? How do I fix my credit? How can I achieve things? They can bring in their bills, we go over their budgets. Pre-purchase, post-purchase. How do I buy a house? What's the first thing I need to do? What's my credit? What can I afford? The 100 Questions and Answer book that HUD puts out, we explain that whole system of, we see people that I'm closing tomorrow and they'll forgive my closing costs if I get this counseling to, I don't even know where to begin. So we have anywhere from, you're going to close in a week to it's going to take you 3 years, but you can do this. And everything along the path. Post-purchases, I got a house, but I know I'm going to need a roof. I don't know what a maintenance schedule is. Should I refinance? How long will it take for me to get my mortgage paid off? Anything to do with home ownership and building the equity and wealth in your home. Property taxes, mortgage foreclosure. I know people think that the foreclosure crisis is over. The large percentage of it is, but I get calls every day. Had 4 calls yesterday on mortgage foreclosure that has sales scheduled. 2 of them were for balloon payments that are coming due that they can't refinance because they haven't regained their equity yet. And 2 of them were for these investor-bought properties and mortgages that were written off 10 years ago. Now, the home is worth something and they're going to foreclose. Or say, you know, you owe me $192,000 because you haven't made a payment in 10 years and you borrowed 88. So they've been accruing interest forever. So, you know, we're working out those type of, it's the unusual thing. And the nice thing about Oakland County is that there are other HUD and MSHDA housing counseling agencies in the area. We're the only one in Oakland County currently doing foreclosure counseling, and one of the only ones that do one-on-one pre-purchase counseling. They offer classes, but we do it one-on-one. We sit down with you, we talk to you. Reverse mortgage counseling for seniors age 62 and over. Only a handful of us in the state that do it. Steve and I are both certified to do that. And then fair housing. So if people feel they had a fair housing issue, we had one about a year ago recently. It was in West Bloomfield, and it was a condominium association, and she was the only black in the whole association and the only one who didn't get new windows. So, I mean, it's not just, I'm not going to rent to you, there's other things, so we're able to get them to the proper people to get it corrected. You know, get the Fair Housing Center involved when needed. So that's kind of what we do.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure. Yeah.
Before you move on, you mentioned, okay, we're not attorneys and we would refer you to free legal aid if you need that type of assistance. How does somebody qualify for free legal aid after they are counseled by you and you refer them to free legal aid? How would they qualify?
So Lakeshore Legal Aid is the largest. We have Legal Aid and Defenders Association. They do most of the criminal cases, so they don't have a lot of time for the others. So we usually refer to Lakeshore Legal Aid. They open an office in Pontiac. Anybody over the age of 62 is free, automatically. And it's nice about them is that they have attorneys that actually answer the phone and can talk to you right then. They have a sliding scale, so if you're under the low income limit, it's free, and then they have a sliding scale for other people.
All right, so it's Lakeshore who you refer to.
Right. Okay. So we're funded through the Community Development Block Grant is by far our largest grant. We're funded under the Public Services line item, and housing counseling is an eligible component of CDBG. And then what it makes up for whatever else we don't get. So HUD's programs and MSHDA's programs have up and down, up and down, up and down. Last year we got $31,770 from HUD, and we got $29,500 from MSHDA. But over the years, some years we get $100,000 from them. Just depends on the budget allocation, what they have, and what they decide that particular year. So the HUD Comprehensive Housing Counseling Grant is a competitive grant. I'm waiting for it to come out. I'm checking grants.gov daily because this is the latest it's ever not been out. I've heard a couple rumors why it hasn't gotten out yet. One is they're redesigning grants.gov, and the other is the FHA commissioner hasn't been approved by the Senate yet. So, not sure why it's not out. MSHDA, you're going to put on the communications, the application for the coming year. So, that's where we're funded through. Okay, so what else do we do in our unit? We also take care of the Emergency Solutions Grant. The Emergency Solutions Grant was part of the McKinney-Vento Act of 1988, and that's when it was an emergency shelter grant. We only did shelter. In 2009, the Homeless Emergency Rapid Transition to Housing Act changed the name to Emergency Solutions Grant so that we can solve the issue of homelessness, and added a couple components. So we do a shelter operations. We have 6 shelters in Oakland County that we provide operational dollars for things like rent, utilities, security, pest control, things like that. A homeless prevention and rapid rehousing is where we either assist someone who is about to be evicted to stay in their unit, or somebody who is already out on the streets or in a shelter. We help them quickly get rehoused, provide up to 6 months of short-term rental assistance for the unit. In order to qualify, you have to be below the extremely low income limits. That's $14,450 for one person, 16 something for 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the Homeless Management Information System is a client management data collection system that Congress requires. And they use all the money, and we do our annual reports, and that's given to Congress to decide if we're ending homelessness and what type of people we're serving. So, so this is pretty much how we allocate the money. We give 60% to the shelter. The reason we give 60% to the shelter is because there's not a lot of funding. The funding for shelters is drying up very rapidly. They think that's how we end homelessness, is we can't find them because we take away the shelters, kind of thing. So they live on the streets instead. So 60% goes for the shelter. About 25% of our grant goes for rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. We take 7.5% for HMIS and 7.5% for admin. And you can certainly always call our hotline and have anybody you know call us. We'll be happy to help them out. Is there any questions?
Commissioner Bowman.
It's not particularly questions. It really is just commenting on the value and utility of this department. I truly did not know previously just how intimately connected to the community that you are. And I want to reflect on one scenario in particular. For Pontiac, there was a senior housing complex that caught fire, that displaced a number of seniors within that housing division. And your department helped in ultimately finding additional housing for those individuals, covering the cost of rental as well as security deposits for their transition. It actually came out to, I believe it was the Marriott, where they were being housed at that point, to provide that service. There is a wealth of information and resources that are provided by this department. And I just want to tout the expertise of your division and the work ethic that you have put forth. Thank you for that.
Any other questions? I have a couple. Kathy, can anyone go to you regardless of income?
Yes.
Okay, so someone from any place in this county?
Any place in this county, actually, because we're nationally certified, anybody in the United States can legally come to us, but 99% of our clients at least are Oakland County residents. About 80% of our clients that we see are considered low income, so the vast majority of them are low income, but we have no income restrictions whatsoever.
About how many loans do you do annually?
I'm sorry, home improvement loans?
Yes.
Okay, that's not my unit, but I do know that anywhere from 200 to 250
a year.
Home improvement loans.
Okay. And CDBG stuff, how many loans on that?
I'm sorry?
CDBG, your block grants.
Yes.
Are you involved with that at all?
No, that's not really my units.
Okay.
But Carrie might be.
Yeah, from the perspective of home improvements or from the perspective of housing counseling?
Home improvements.
Okay. The CDBG and the Home Investment Partnerships Program both fund home improvement assistance in our division. The housing counseling units interface with our home improvement program and clients is monumental. They're the first line that we would refer a client to if they're experiencing potential foreclosure, tax foreclosures that we've become aware of through the treasurer's office. And if we pick up on a client who may be facing mortgage foreclosure, we certainly, send those to our housing counseling because we're all about trying to protect our loans. So they constantly do that. And then throughout the year, we notify clients under the home improvement program, and they help us with any extenuating circumstances, evaluating financial capabilities and ability to repay the loans.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Bowman, again.
Kathy, I have an inquiry related to this national HUD exam specifically. If our housing counselors were unable to pass that particular test, one, what would be kind of the recourse? What would be, I guess, the process going forward in order to mitigate that situation. And I also understand that you're serving as an advisor related to the exam. So I'm just curious, maybe your insights related to the exam.
Okay, well, I'm sworn to sleep this day about what's coming up on the exam, but since August, HUD is very disappointed that there hasn't been enough counselors that have passed the exam nationally to have any statistical margin of error to even determine if the questions are relevant. So there's been 6 of us that have selected nationally to sit on a board, and we're kind of rewriting some of the questions and looking at the relevancy and looking at to see exactly what might be done. A lot of issues with it, it's a proctored exam. They said that people can either go to a proctoring site. All 3 of us went to a proctoring site because we learned from the reverse mortgage exam that taking it online with the security Oakland County has is difficult at best. But the proctored exam by online is you have to have their webcam, so you have to request their webcam. They mail it to you. You have to be in a room with no paper on anywhere in the area, no windows, like in a cell or something. And there's been a lot of people who tried to take it online and haven't been able to take it online. I drove to Lansing to take it. That was the closest to my home. But there are like 6 sites in Michigan that you can take it. So that was one issue, is that people are having trouble accessing the test. The other thing is that a lot of the study guides that they have out and the practice exams, they don't tell you if you pass or not. So when I thought, oh, I'll take this, I got experience. Then I took the practice exam and it says additional review required, and I'm thinking like, okay, but they didn't tell you what wrong or what you scored or anything. So then I learned that that's the best you can get. They can tell you additional review required, additional study required, or some study required, or a lot of study required. So
You don't know the right answer.
you can retake it as often as you want. As a matter of fact, the last thing that came out, they recommend that people try it. But the issue is it's $100 every time you try to take it. So you want to make sure that you're prepared. The 3 of us, like you, Carrie's really big on training, by the way, and she believes that we should access all the training we can get. So we went to a 3-day class, of 3 days, right? 3-day class, 8 hours a day. And then we took a lot of webinars, because they did have a lot of webinars. And then in our staff meetings, we kind of talked about it. We took the practice test together, and we discussed it. So we spent a lot of time preparing for this exam. About 100 hours, yeah, preparing for it. So we felt prepared for it. But I think some people are just taking it. The other thing that I think benefited me is that I have the experience. If you're in a small nonprofit agency and all you do is home buyer counseling and you don't know anything about foreclosure, that's a big, hurdle to overcome. The other issue I had is that an online calculator is okay, but there was no pencil and paper, and there was multiple step story problems, and you had to try to, that was my first complaint, and I wasn't the only one. You had to remember it in your head. So if they told you a story, John makes $9 an hour, 40 hours a week, he has these bills, he lives here, he wants to buy this house, what's his payment? I can figure that out, but I have to remember what 9 and 40 to 52 is, of this amount, and divide by this, and there was no place to jot it down, because you're in a cubicle facing a blank wall with a computer, and that's it. So.
Weird.
Good.
Last one, I'm Dave Woodward today.
Definitely.
I'm aware of a housing, fair housing event that is coming up next month.
Oh, May 14th, yeah.
We could just announce that for.
Sure. So for those who don't know, April 11th was the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Law. It's been amended a couple times down the road, but we celebrate April as Fair Housing Month every year. You probably got a packet from us. And on May 14th, we are having Margaret Brown, who is the director of the Metro Detroit Fair Housing Center. And she's coming, she's a great speaker. I've done a couple of her seminars before. She's going to share with any community official, you know, what we can do to further and affirmatively further fair housing and fair housing law. So if anybody's interested in coming, you're welcome. It's at 1 o'clock at the EOB.
Any other questions? I have one more quick question. So
Sure.
Kathy, what you're saying is that if Mary and Bill decide they want to buy a house together, and they could be college graduates working at a profession, they can come right, make an appointment with you?
Yes.
And you can help them?
Yes.
There's no income level, zero?
No income level, because people, just because you have a college degree doesn't mean you know the home buying process.
Well, I said the college degree, meaning that their income level would be
Yeah,
certainly
it's-
higher than a homeless
right.
person.
We do not charge. Many organizations charge for counseling
Okay,
services. The only service you can't charge for is foreclosure counseling. We're probably the only one who doesn't charge seniors for reverse mortgage counseling. But Oakland County had made the decision that we want to help our residents. We don't want, I can't pay a $125 fee to be a deterrent to resolving their housing issues.
and
So, yes, we have no income requirements. The only requirement is that at least 50% of our clients have to be at or below 50% of the, or I'm sorry, 80% of the area median income, and we have never had any problem even having to worry about that.
okay, so what you're saying is that, and what I think I heard you say is that oftentimes banks will tell you, you can afford a $300,000 house, you're in $20,000 a year. And I'm being silly, but you know, you hear this a lot, whereas you don't have anything in the game at all, no skin in the game, so you're not loaning money. So you can say, look, you're in $30,000 a year, you can't afford a $300,000
You
house.
need to take into consideration your child support, your daycare, your medical costs.
Yeah.
Just look at gross income.
Yeah, so you'll help people kind of figure out where they belong in the home buying and what their lifestyle is and so on. Do you have sheets and such that they fill things out on?
We do, and Melissa's actually our primary home buyer pre-purchase counselor, but we have a entire folder that we put together with budget worksheets and examples, and FHA put out 100 questions and answers, it's my favorite book in the world, of how to buy a home, and we give them that. We have that copied and made, and fair housing information, and all kinds of wonderful different worksheets, and this is about this thick. Anybody who comes to see us gets referrals to all kinds of organizations, like if they're struggling with their budget but they have a baby. A lot of people don't know you can get free diapers if you're low income from Maternal Outreach of Michigan, and how to get your student loans on myfedloan.org to get them under control. And you know, so we have a list of all the food banks, all the free medical. We have to have a host of different resources for people. So you can't make your house payment, but maybe if you get help over here, then you'll have free up more disposable income to help you over here.
So even if people are who have a decent income
Right.
and are struggling, you can take a look at what they're spending their money on and saying,
Everybody
you don't have to buy
knows
40 packages of bubble gum a week, right?
And we don't tell people where
Stop
to spend the
smoking.
money, but sometimes when you write it down, everyone who sees us, a budget is completed and an action plan. And the action plan has specific goals and steps to get those goals.
You don't point something out like, gee, you're buying too much bubble gum?
No, I don't say, you might want to quit the bubblegum habit. But when they look at it, they're like, wow, I spend that much, and you even talk about, oh, you have grandkids, do you buy gifts? Well, yeah, everybody with grandkids buys gifts. How much you spend on that? And then you start putting that in the budget, and you're like, wow,
Carrie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I would say they do a remarkable job with home buyers understanding mortgage products and predatory lending, because oftentimes people don't understand the products they're signing for and the repercussions of those, balloon mortgages, all those kinds of products that tend to be trendy, and they don't know what the consequences of entering into those products won't be in the future. So they do a remarkable job on that.
So again, as I'm saying, anybody in this county can come and say, this savings and loan says this bank says that, I don't know what to do, help me out, this is my budget, this is what, or
They
whatever.
can bring in their loan estimates, we go over what the loan estimates, what the closing costs mean, you know, how much you're gonna need out of pocket, down payment assistance programs, things like that.
Whatever.
It's all done,
Yeah, whether they have a small income, a medium
Doesn't
income,
make
whatever.
any difference, no.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know, because all these years I never knew that. You see? You learn something every day. Any other questions? Oh, here, I knew it.
Well,
He said he was here today, Dave, so.
I was asking multiple questions, but this is actually more so a point of information, because this is, I think, an inquiry that Dave had made during a prior meeting related to discharge of loans. And I think during our last community meeting, there was a report rendered kind of identifying those loans that would unfortunately be discharged as a result of them going beyond the 30 years.
Yeah, that was a new law that wasn't a new law, you didn't know about it.
And so I was just hoping maybe you could give a brief synopsis related to that process, kind of update David.
Is it? Okay, all right, so again, not my unit, but I can give you an overview. So Oakland County has, for the last 40 years, since '76 or something like that, provided people who are low income with homes to rehab their housing, you know, roofs, siding, windows, furnaces, electric, septics and wells, because there are no other resources. Last year, the state of Michigan, in the entire state, did 25 loans total. The reason they only did 25 loans total is because you have to have a credit score of 620, you have to have underwriting, and you have interest accruing. Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis did a few more, but that was for Indiana and Michigan. And again, the underwriting is a big thing. These people are low income. Probably half of our loans have about 50% or lower income. So we're talking about people with $15,000 a year, and they're just told they need a $30,000 engineered septic field. So where are they going to get the money? So it's a 0% deferred loan. Our guidelines is when you move from the unit, you need to pay us. So whether you pass away, your heirs will need to pay us, sell the house, pay us, work something out, or if you sell the house, you pay us off. Again, we've been doing this for 40 years, and we came across a loan with a Sharp Title Company, where we said, hey, you know, you sold this house, you didn't pay us off, right? You go to your title company and get it. We were made aware, and even Corp Counsel didn't know about it. They had to do the research, that if a loan was recorded more than 30 years ago, you have to re-record the lien on the property, else it's discharged. So some of our loans that were made prior to, you know, 1978 are more than 30 years old, or 88. We can't collect on them anymore. So we have to write them off. So there was approximately $500,000, I think, that we had to write off. And that was just something we just discovered this year. So now what we're doing is we have a policy written, and we have staff, some part-time individuals assigned to it. We're putting an affidavit on all of our loans when they reach the 25-year anniversary of the loan. We record an affidavit on the lien so that people know that that mortgage is still valid.
Any other questions? Dave Woodward.
And again, I apologize at the beginning of the presentation, but your team has been so responsive. I am a huge enthusiast in all the work that this division does, and I think in many cases it's not as widely known as it could be. And I think there's probably folks that we could be improving their lives that we just got to find a way to connect this information. I'd like to go down. Even though I wasn't here, I was streaming it while I was driving. And listening, not watching.
Okay.
But that being said, I guess it's for as Oakland County continues to age, and we have this aging senior population, and we know on a host of things that our housing infrastructure isn't at a level to meet the demand of this aging population. This is something that frankly all of Michigan, A lot of the Rust Belt is contending with, but the projection that our percentage of folks over the age of 65 in the next couple of decades or less, frankly, to be that of a higher percentage of that of the state of Florida, which is shocking to me. So, like, how are we going to respond to that? And so, is there a way? I mean, can you speak to any strategies that are maybe being explored to try to figure out how to meet that? I think it's a variety of ways. It's affordable housing, it's co-ops, it's, I think frankly not enough housing is actually being developed that can actually meet the needs of the seniors that, you know, in case they come through a struggle to be able to afford it. So to me, that this is a huge thing that is resting on the horizon that I think they're obviously a direct intersection with economic development. New housing stock is going to have to be developed to meet this need, but it's also how are we working with developers and community to incentivize this or exploring ways to incentivize this, because in 10, 15 years I don't want to see sitting back like, oh, if we only would have planned 10 or 15 years ago to address this problem, we could. Too bad you're out of luck. We know this problem is coming, and like how are we prepared to like look at that?
I don't think we have a specific plan in place. I could kind of tell you what we do now for those that are having issues. Of course, there's a whole reverse mortgage product. So a lot of times seniors like to age in place. They've been owned the home for 40, 45 years, house rich, cash poor. They've outlived their ability to savings to be able to pay it, and the reverse mortgage is one component. A lot of times staying in the unit and their taxes are low enough that it's less expensive to stay in the unit if they can get the supports they need in that home, you know, possibly a home improvement loan to do the barrier-free improvements, or a reverse mortgage, or a combination thereof, to, you know, only pay $300 a month in taxes and insurance versus we do keep a list of affordable housing in Oakland County in our office. There's approximately 11,000 units available countywide that are currently affordable. You know, some of them are Section 8, some of them are senior-only buildings, some of them are, you know, 236s or tax credits, but there are, you know, units out there. We have vouchers in our, the voucher program is funded through a variety of different places. What a lot of people don't know is even though Oakland County government doesn't have their own housing commission, within Oakland County, Ferndale, Southfield, Pontiac have their own. We're governed, MISHDA provides approximately 1,700 vouchers in the county. Plymouth Housing Commission, I know they're not in Oakland County, absorbed South Lyons Housing Commission, and because of that, they allow anybody who has a Plymouth Housing voucher to move into Oakland County, and there's approximately 270 right now. There's VASH vouchers, those are Veterans Assistance for Housing. For veterans vouchers, there's 46 of those. The Detroit Housing Commission, I know that in Oakland County, allows anybody with a Detroit Housing Commission voucher to move all the way to M59. So it's the southern tier. So, you know.
It's another reason why I'm so impressed by this team.
It's never
this was not
enough.
a prep question. I mean, that was right off the cuff. I mean, so I mean,
there's never enough.
Right. No. Well, I mean, that's actually more than I even had in a grasp.
Yeah. Every 5 years, our division is required to complete a 5-year consolidated plan, which identifies housing and community development needs across the county. And we usually start that process a year or two in advance, which means to achieve our 21 goal, we're going to have to start that product not too far out. Before the crash hit, we had conducted a housing needs assessment, and housing for seniors was one of those key identification of need for housing. And so we may go back to that housing needs assessment, but regardless, in the new plan, we will consider shaking up maybe some of the highest priority needs for housing and address it at that point in time.
That's great. And I think one other thing to kind of throw in the mix, and this is something that happened for the new housing development, they targeted the senior development in the great city of Novi, that we using our brownfield mechanism to help incentivize and clean up the property and contaminated property question that I posed there was like, do we have any leverage to incorporate affordable housing as part of that? I mean, we're foregoing millions of dollars of tax revenue to help incentivize this development. Should we be looking at that to help address this problem? Because there's a lot of things that are out there that help you. This problem is ballooning at an exponential rate every single year. It's going to become that much harder to be able to address. Should we be incorporating some of that to our economic, particularly our brownfield development, but really looking at how does this intersect with all our economic development? And affordable housing is going to be something that we're going to have to wrestle with, particularly with our aging population on the horizon. So.
Well, for the brownfield program, I mean, it's very clear what that program is intended to do and how it's intended to be implemented. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. There is no component there, so my understanding is we would have to go back to the legislator and add that component in legislatively to be allowed to do that.
But
brownfield.
There's another thing though, Dave, you probably listen, but it's hard to listen sometimes and drive. We have these incredible CDBG, these grants that if we find a family that is living in a home that maybe they bought 30 years ago and it needs a new this, that, and the other thing, we come in there and do it with the idea that they're going to, when the home is sold, repay that grant or that loan or whatever. So the idea, obviously, is with a little bit of luck to keep grandma or grandpa or whomever in their home. So rather than uproot them in some place that they're not familiar with, putting them in an apartment complex where they have to use elevators or stairs or what have you, obviously there isn't anyone around here who wouldn't like to stay in their home for life if it's it's in decent shape.
But we also know that CDBG is a very frequent target for elimination. The funds today versus funds a decade or 2 decades ago are drastically less. There's a lot of need out there, and a lot of these communities don't have the resources to meet all those needs. I'm actually thinking more on terms of scale. Let's address the problems in front of us immediately. But this is forecasting the shortage of affordable senior housing it's a scary proposition. And to Irene's point, I mean, I think the brownfield rules are absolutely, I mean, it lays out what we can do it's intended to develop properties that otherwise might not be developed, and that's completely yes. But we also grant them, which means that there's a lot of negotiation in that. And to me, I'm more interested in granting brownfield tax credits, particularly if we're building housing, particularly senior housing. This project that we developed has 0 affordable housing in it, which, you know what, I bet it's going to fill up, and it's in an area that senior housing is $300,000, $400,000. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Right, but I have actually talked to other communities, and yeah.
It'd be a development
agreement. Yes.
Not a brownfield plan. Brownfield plan is to do what it needs to do, but it would be a community, in this case, Novi, or Novi Oakland County development agreement.
Right. No, and I agree with that, but we give the brownfield county. I'll be honest, I'm going to be more interested in the ones that are helping address these bigger problems than other ones. I mean, given that there's a finite amount of resources we're going to forego, and so I guess that's and having that conversation. It maybe doesn't make sense for all projects. I'm not saying it does make sense for all projects, but I also know that having the conversations necessary to get a resolution. I have actually talked to leaders in Novi, and they're like, this was not part of the conversation at all, and it needs to be. And I guess that's what I'm just looking at across the board at all our tools, and this is not a critique. We have an awesome team with government and brownfield tax credits and managing that. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm trying to light a fire on figuring out how are we going to tackle this affordable senior housing in this county, because and I think maybe it's a very narrow lane that we play, and if we let the market exclusively do it, we're going to find a lot of seniors without housing. It just is not. You're going to have to figure out how to achieve some sort of fairness and, frankly, create the communities that we want. I mean, we don't want any communities that become you're older, you're poorer, and therefore you cannot be part of this. That's not what we want. And so it's, and I don't have all the answers, but I know that these are strategies. I think we've got to figure out how do we, and Terry mentioned like this plan, I think that's a really good starting point to figure out what are all the opportunities available, what are communities around the entire country doing to wrestle with this. And we know, frankly, Oakland County is going to get hit disproportionately hard for our region. I mean, we know by the stats and the report that came out, I think, a month ago. Like, so like, this is coming very fast, and we are not prepared to deal with it. And I bet it's going to be a lot cheaper to deal with if we develop a 15, 20-year plan than to try to react when we already saw 700 and some seniors on a waiting list for immediate care, and we actually tried to tackle. But again, that addressed the immediate concern. That need is only going to grow. So that's all I'm saying. More of a
Thank you.
rhetorical question.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, we are absolutely perfect. 1 minute. Yes. Oh, we have, I'm sorry. Communications, I need a motion to receive and file. Moved by Berman, supported by Woodward. Any questions on communications? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.